to the Gigalife. Your passions, your stories, your life, simplified with just one app. This is the future. The Gigalife in just one tap. Experience more Giga moments when you make the smart choice. With the Philippines' fastest mobile data network. How do I know it's T1? Simple, smart ako.
Mula kay Yuka Saso hanggang sa mga Olympians papuntang Tokyo, napunta sa Gilas Pilipinas. Tuloy-tuloy ang karangalang binibigay ng mga atletang Pilipino at yan po ang ating tatalakayin at ipagbubunyi ngayong umagang ito sa inyong paboritong kasama sa almusal, ang Power and Play. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat mga kapatid. Ako po si Noli Eala at ito po ang Power and Play hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement, Big Boss sa tatag, Big Boss sa tibay at ng Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum powered by Smart. Nako, gusto ko pong kamustahin muna lahat ng ating mga tagapakinig sa Radyo 5, 92.3 News FM at lahat po ng nanonood sa pamamagitan ng 1PH sa Signal TV at nagla-livestream sa Facebook ng 1PH, Radyo 5 at ng Power and Play with Noli Eala. Nung isang gabi po, may tumawag sa akin isang dayuhan na ang unang sinabi sa akin, congratulations kay Yuka and then congratulations sa iyong anak. Una sabi sa akin, anak si Alex Eala daw. Alam niyo, nakakatuwa na 2 linggo na po na tuloy-tuloy ang ating pagbubunyi sa lahat po ng napakagandang ginagawa ng ating mga atleta. Of course, yung mga records na nabasag ng ating mga atletang nagkakampanya abroad at ang kahuli-hulihan nga po kagabi, nanalo na naman ang Gilas Pilipinas. So it has been truly a week of celebration, truly a week to remember. At yan po ang ating tatalakayin mamaya kasama ng ating mga magigiting na mga panauhin. Pero syempre, tuwing Sabado po at sa pagbubukas ng ating programa, himayin muna natin ang mga balitang nakagulat sa atin ngayong linggo sa ating Sports Weekly Highlights. Noong Martes, isang draw ang ending ng laban ng Philippine Ascals kontra sa Maldives sa joint AFC Asian Cup at FIFA World Cup Qualifiers na ginanap sa United Arab Emirates. Bagamat hindi tayo nag-qualify sa world stage, pasok naman tayo sa susunod na round ng AFC Asian Qualifiers. Biyernes, magkakaroon ba o nga ba ng Nonito Donaire at Naoya Inoue rematch? Yan ay matapos kumalat ang video na ito na in-upload ng Top Rank kung saan tampok ang dalawang boksingero. Nang tanungin sila kung game ba sila sa isang part 2, sumagot si The Filipino Flash ng yes! Abangan natin yan ha. Sa Biyernes din, nang tinambakan ng Gilas Pilipinas ang Indonesia 76-51 para maging 2-0 na ang kanilang kartada sa FIBA Asia Cup Qualifiers. Matatandaan na noong Miyerkules, isang exciting game winner ni SJ Belangel ang nag-angat sa Gilas para sa kanilang 81-78 victory kontra sa South Korea. Mamaya pag-uusapan natin yan at pati na rin ang Olympic qualifying tournament kasama ang inyong paboritong si Quinito Henson. At Biyernes din, 2 of the best words in sports. Game 7, dyan hahantong ang Eastern Semifinal Playoff Series ng Milwaukee Bucks at Brooklyn Nets. Matapos kunin ng Bucks ang Game 6, 104-89 para itabla ang serye. Abangan nyo rin ang mga playoff games ngayong umaga sa TV5 at One Sports. Parehong Game 6, Philadelphia versus Atlanta at LA Clippers kontra Utah. Kung mananalo ang Atlanta Hawks at LA, pareho silang aabante sa conference finals. Yan po ang ating Sports Weekly Highlights sa Power and Play. And of course, pinag-uusapan natin ang basketball. Well, sana naman yung aking Philadelphia ay mabuhay pa. Nagsisimula na po yung laban na yan. At Game 6 nga po yan. Philadelphia has collapsed in the last 2 games. Kaya talagang tama yung iba nagsasabi, naku, ano bang klaseng kuponan pagka ganyan ang mangyayari. But pinag-uusapan po ang basketball, yan po ang ating pupulsahan ngayong araw na ito. Nakita po natin ang performance ng Gilas Pilipinas noong pong pagsisimula ng FIBA Asia Cup Qualifiers. And of course, all eyes were on Kai Sotto sa kanyang debut sa men's seniors team. At ang ating pong pupulsuhan ay tungkol kay Kai. Dahil po sa kanyang paglalaro, ang tanong po na gusto nating ilabas sa ating pulso ng bayan ay ano ang masasabi ninyo sa performance ni Kai sa FIBA Asia Cup Qualifiers so far? Ulitin ko po yan. Ano ang masasabi ninyo sa performance ni Kai Sotto sa FIBA Asia Cup Qualifiers so far? Kung gusto niyo po makisama sa ating talakayan, mag-text lamang. Bago po itong aming hotline, 0908-208-0629. Ulitin ko po yan, 0908-208-0629. O di kaya mag-post po ng inyong comments sa aming Facebook page sa Radyo 5, sa 1PH at sa Power and Play. Mamaya po babasahin natin ang inyong mga opinion at kuro-kuro sa ating pinupulsuhan ngayong araw na ito. Alright, siyempre, tuloy-tuloy po tayo at kailangan na tayong magpaspas dahil marami tayong pag-uusapan ngayong umagang ito. At pag pinag-uusapan ng paspas, siyempre, dyan ang fast take. At ngayong araw pong ito, tayo'y maswerte dahil makakasama natin. Siya lang ganyan ka-espesyal itong taong ito Matagal ko na po nakasama to sa mga boxing matches and of course sa PBA. Walang iba kung hindi ang ating kaibigan mula sa Manila Bulletin, si Dennis Principe. Dennis, magandang umaga sa iyo. Thanks for joining us sa Fast Take.
Yes, Com. Magandang umaga sa iyo and siguro batiin ko na rin si Miss Gladys Lucas. Magandang umaga rin, Miss Glad. Sana nandito ako ngayong weekend. Ibig sabihin, maluwag weekend ko.
Kamusta, Gladys? Of course, matagal ko na hindi nakikita si Gladys dahil work from home tayong lahat. Pinag-uusapan niyang work from home. Marami tayong nakikita ngayon, Dennis, na mga pictures ni Senador Manny Pacquiao na siya ay working from home. Hindi lamang para sa Senado, pero kung di dun sa kanyang laban na gaganapin sa August 21, laban kay Errol Spence. Kamusta ang Senador Dennis? Alam ko na ikaw ay nakatutok sa boxing. How is he preparing at anong pakiramdam mo sa kondisyon ni Senador Manny?
Alam mo, Com, pagdating sa kondisyon, hindi na dapat pinag-uusapan niya because for the longest time, talagang pinatunayan ni Senator Manny Pacquiao na yung time inside the gym, yung kanyang dedication pagdating sa training, be it inside the training camp or pre-training camp, talagang hindi mo matatawaran itong si Senator Manny Pacquiao. Sinasabi nga pa natin pag ako tinatanong, yung training, talagang pag nakita mo siya sa loob, he's the only probably athlete na nag-e-enjoy ng todo-todo pagdating sa loob ng training camp.
Malinaw na malinaw yan, Dennis. Pag nakikita natin yung mga video footages niya, talaga namang liksing-liksi pa rin. Kahit na 42 anyos na, si Senador Manny, parang gutom na gutom pa rin. And we certainly hope na hanggang sa kanyang laban ay patuloy na maganda ang kanyang kondisyon. And of course, tayo maasang isa na namang panalo para sa kanya at para sa ating bayan. Alright, Dennis, ito ang fast take. At alam mo naman, nakapag-guest ka na rin dito. Ang ating fast take ay tungkol sa inyong opinion, mga taong nasa likod ng headlines ng sports at mga nakakaalam talaga ng mga balitang sports. Bato-bato sa langit, tamaan huwag magagalit, walang mali, walang tama. Dennis, itong ating first fast take issue of the morning. Pinag-uusapan natin kanina ang Gilas Pilipinas 2-0 na sa Clark Bubble ng FIBA Asia Cup Qualifier. Para sa iyo, Dennis, sino so far ang pinaka-impressive na player ng Gilas Pilipinas? You have 1 minute, Dennis. Go!
Well, stats-wise, Com, nakikita natin na talagang pinag-uusapan itong Dwight Ramos because he's been very consistent. Yung 2 games na nilaro natin, nababanggit din siyempre si Kai Sotto because mataas yung expectation sa kanya. But apparently, naibaba niya ron sa level na kailangan niya pagdating dun sa kung paano dapat pansinin at i-criticize no, yung kanyang laro. But you know, alam naman natin, basketball is a team game. And ako, ever since namulat ako sa PBA, talagang may bias ako pagdating sa mga point guards. So in this case, I think si RJ Barrientos is the player na para sa akin talagang na-impress ako ng todo because, he's the one na talagang naging glue nitong team na to. And remember, yung si Coach Tab Baldwin is using a system na talagang teamwork ang kinakailangan. So for me, I think si RJ Abariento sa masabi nating for me personally, naging susi para gumana yung sinasabing system na meron si Coach Tab Baldwin.
Excellent point. Alam mo, RJ Barrientos carries a name. Alam naman natin yan, pamangkin ni Johnny A. And that's a name na nire-respeto sa Philippine basketball. And of course, nakita natin yung paglalaro niya laban sa Korea. Siya yung medyo naging spark doon sa paghahabol natin. And of course, tinapos yan with a miracle shot mula kay SJ Belangel. But I agree with you, Barrientos is an impressive name at dapat talagang abangan yan ng ating mga manonood. Alright, second issue of the morning, Dennis, basketball pa rin. Ewan ko kung nabasa mo to, pero nagkaroon ng isang tweet si LeBron James. Napakahaba, mga 3 pahina ata na sinabi niya in so many words na kaya daw maraming injury ngayon sa NBA ay dahil dito sa shortened season na nangyari. Kaya tuloy, parang ang pinapalabas niya, hindi masyadong maganda ang pagtatapos dahil napakaraming players na injured. Alam naman natin, ang daming injuries na nangyari ngayon. The latest of which is Kawhi Leonard na may knee injury. Anya ni Lebron, these injuries isn't just part of the game. It's the lack of pure rim rest before starting back up. Yun ang sabi niya. So ang tanong, Dennis, sang-ayon ka ba kay LeBron James dito sa kanyang mga punto? 1 minute, go!
Well, alam mo, Kom, if you're an anti-LeBron James fan, sabihin mo, ayan ka na naman kasi natalo ka, hindi ka pumasok ng finals, hindi mo madedepensa yung iyong titulo. Pero to some extent, I think merong punto si LeBron James. Because if you look at the current conference semi-final lineup right now, yung 4 na conference finalist last season, wala na ngayon. Yung Miami, Boston, Lakers, and Denver. Bakit? Yung sinasabi natin na may punto siya ron na maiksi nga yung time na makapag-rest yung mga players. At the same time, yung management makagawa ng enough time na movement para yung mga players nila mabigyan ng kumbaga tamang suporta. And in this case, of course, lahat sila on equal footing. Before the start of the regular season, 0-0 sila. And before the start of the playoff, 0-0 sila. But we have to remember, yung 4 na semi-finalists, at the very least last season, mas extended yung kanilang mileage. So, in that case, sa tingin ko, kung physically sinasabi injury, I think merong point na dapat tignan dito, yung sinasabi ni LeBron James.
Alam mo, yan ang gusto ko sa'yo, Dennis. Matapang ka sa mga opinion na ganyan. Talagang hindi popular yan because marami nagsasabi na si LeBron daw is sour graping dahil hindi siya nakapasok, hindi naman daw siya nagreklamo. Noong last year na ang Miami ay nagkaroon ng injury, si Bam Adebayo, si Dragic hindi nakapaglaro. Ngayon, nagre-reklamo siya. So, but I like your opinion. I think ang kanyang focus, and maybe you put it correctly, Dennis, ang kanyang focus ay yung mga naglaro last season. Kaya nga ngayon, tama ka. Hindi ko nga napuna yun eh. Yung 4 na conference finalists ay wala na pala. And that's an excellent point right there. Just to highlight yung mga sinasabi ni LeBron James. All right, let's go to our third and final take of the morning. Dennis, ang IOC ay nag-anunsyo na may mga sports na maaaring ipasok na sa Olympiada sa 2024 sa Paris. Ang mga sports na ito ay ang kickboxing, Muay Thai, Sambo, cheerleading, lacrosse at ice stock sports. Ang tanong, dahil ba dito sa desisyon o magiging desisyon ng IOC, mas maganda ba o makakakita na ba tayo ng gintong medalya sa ating kampanya sa Olympics? 1 minute, Dennis, go!
Without a doubt, Com, yung mga nabanggit mo ng mga sports, talagang mas nadagdagan yung chance natin na manalo ng Olympic gold. Maybe not in 2024, Com, because sa pagkakaalam ko, if you are a member, if you become a member of the IOC, hindi yan automatic no, nakasama ka na sa calendar ng Olympics. I think meron pang proseso na pagdadaanan niya, but I'm not quite sure about that. No? But going back dun sa punto na nadagdagan ba yung chance natin kung itong mga sport na to ay pumasok sa Olympics, definitely. Why? Because kung napansin mo, lahat ng mga Olympic medals natin and dun sa mga Olympic sports, no, sinasabing malaking chance natin, ito yung mga sport na merong weight categories. Alam naman natin na tayo mga Pilipino, one of the shortest people in the world. No? So pag nilagyan mo ng weight category, basically yung timbang mo, no, and yung physical attributes, halos magkakapareho na lang. Ano? So with kickboxing, sambo, and Muay Thai, all these are sinasabi nga na merong weight categories. Doon sa tatlo na yun, kung papasok yan ng Olympics, I think madadagdagan talaga definitely yung chance natin to win an Olympic medal and that elusive gold medal.
Sana nga nagmagdila kang anghel, belanghel. Dennis, because alam natin sa Southeast Asian Games, humakot tayo ng medalya dyan sa Muay Thai, kickboxing, and of course Sambo. And certainly we're hoping na yan ay makakadagdag sa atin ngayong parating na Olympics. Dennis, it's good to see you. I wish you could be more visible dito sa aming programa, and I certainly hope that you can come back. Maraming salamat sa iyong pagsama sa akin ngayong umagang ito.
Maraming salamat din, Com, and I'm a big fan of your show, and keep it up, and congratulations.
Maraming salamat. Mga kaibigan, ang ating kaibigan, si Dennis Principe ng Manila Bulletin, at of course napakagaling na radio and TV host. Kaya kita nyo naman, matatapang ang mga takes niya ngayong umagang ito. Alright, patuloy po tayo sa Power and Play. We're coming to you live from the Signal Experience Lounge dito po sa TV5 Media Center. At ngayong punto pong ito, abay, swerte. Kanina, Dennis Principe, sino pa? Pagdating sa basketball at sports, wala na atang pinakikinggan pa kung hindi itong aking kaibigan at kumpare. Partner ko sa mga broadcast at matagal nang nirerespeto ng bansa sa kanyang mga opinyon pagdating sa palakasan. The Dean himself sa Power and Play, Quinito Henson. Magandang umaga, Quinito.
Magandang umaga, Com Noli. Nice to be back on your show.
Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Alam mo, pagka nandito si Quinito, tumataas ang rating ko. Kaya... before anything else, we were just talking with Dennis about Manny Pacquiao and his coming fight, yung kanyang pag-iensayo, paghahanda. I know you spoke to Manny on your show with Diane, and I'm very happy about that. Quinito, just a little, kamusta si Senator Manny at ang kanyang condition right now?
Well, ang condition niya, he expects to be 70% in battle-ready condition pagdating niya sa US in the first week of July. And he started his training over a week ago sa General Santos. Mukhang maganda naman ang drift ng kanyang training. Kasama niya si Buboy Fernandez at si Nonoy Neri. Kausap ko din the other day si Justin Fortune, ang kanyang strength and conditioning coach out of Los Angeles. At tinanong ko din kay Senator kung padadala niya si Justin sa General Santos to supervise his strength and conditioning. Sabi niya mukhang hindi na because pagdating dito ni Justin, magka-quarantine pa, sayang yung mga araw na ika-quarantine ni Justin. So sabi naman ni Justin, well, ang expectation niya is, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, 70% battle ready na si Senator pagdating sa US. So it will be that 30% na tututukan niya to make sure that by the time the fight comes, 100% ready na si Senator. And Senator feels that he's stronger, he's quicker, and he's smarter than Errol Spence. At sabi din ni Justin Fortune, the best of Errol Spence cannot beat the best of Manny Pacquiao.
Wow, big words mula kay Justin Fortune. And obviously, we have to believe him dahil siya ang katabi ni Senador Manny sa karamihan ng kanyang laban. And we certainly hope na habang parating ang kanyang laban, lalo pang gumanda ang kondisyon. Alam mo, pinag-uusapan ko Quinito si Manny dahil ang daming napakagaling na atleta na in the last 2 weeks has given us so much pride, no? Yuka Saso, to Alex Eala, to the Ascals, and of course, to our Olympians. EJ Obiena will be on the show later. Elreen Ando will be on the show later. And now, Gilas Pilipinas, Quinito. And that's what I want to talk to you about right now. Ang Gilas Pilipinas has surprised so much. But before we get to the nitty-gritty of that, Quinito, give me the big picture dito sa laban ng Gilas Pilipinas, dito sa kanilang debut as an all-cadets team. How risky was this, putting out an all-cadets team in a qualifier like the FIBA Asian Cup and going to the OQT? Ito ba'y sugal, gamble, and is this, you think, will this pay off for the future of Philippine basketball?
Ang mindset ng ating Gilas Pilipinas coaching staff, ganun din sa mga players, is nothing to lose. Because cadet sila eh. It's a developmental team with an average age of 22.3 years.
Wow.
Two players who are teenagers. Si Sotto is 19 years old at saka si Lebron Lopez is only 18 years old. So this is a very, very young team. You throw that team against a veteran and experienced team like Korea, na sinasabi nila, hindi, natalo natin yung Korea because first time yung coach, si Cho Sang-hyun, and first 6 bagong player ng Korea coming from their pro league and 1 player coming from Davidson College sa US. So this is a new team. But I disagree. Korea plays a system. And whether you bring in pieces from different parts of the world and you put them in that Korean team, they play in the same way. They play bully ball, they play transition 3, they play a fast pace. Ganun din ang style ng Korea. So for us to have beaten Korea, no matter if that's a first-time coach ng Korea, I think that's a major, major credit para sa atin. And in answer to your question, yes, it was a risk. Yes, it was a gamble, but it was a calculated risk. Feeling nila, walang pressure because nothing to lose. If they lose, then sasabihin ng tao, kasi mga bata pa yun eh. They're just gaining experience. But if they win, wow! All of a sudden, floodgates are opening to say that, well, this team has a lot of potential. Pwede itong team na to. If you stick with this team, using the same formula as in the 1980s with Ambassador Cojuangco, this is it. You know, I'm trying to recall, in the 1980s, marami nagsasabi, yung Philippine team natin doon, karamihan o marami tagalasal. Because si Ambassador Cojuangco was from Lasal.
Sabi nila nung araw, di ba? Sabi nila, maraming Amerikano daw yun eh. Diba?
Nung nanalo tayo ng last Asian Championship in 1985-86, dadalawa lang naman ang ating naturalized import. That was because that was allowed by FIBA. Pero marami sa mga player natin, sina Tonichi Ituri, Teddy Alfarero, Ives Tigdadize, Franz Pumaren, tagalasal. So sinasabi nila, ang daming mga tagalasal, bakit ganon? Well, at that time, hindi naglalaro yung Lasal sa UAP. Wala din sa NCAA. But now, alam mo, panapanahon lang yan eh. Now, maraming nagsasabi, ba't ang daming Ateneo ngayon? Talagang ganon eh. I think the key is to make sure that you have a nucleus that will stay together, stick together, play games, gain experience. And the ultimate is 2023 FIBA World Cup. If you retain this nucleus and core, tapos bring in some valuable pieces from the PBA, Jordan Clarkson, to beef up this team, to make it even stronger, then I think we will be a contender. Perhaps not for a medal in 2023 FIBA World Cup, but at least naman sa quarterfinals, baka pumasok na tayo.
Alam mo, hindi rin nila masasabi na ito ay sinadya eh. Kasi alam mo, blessing in disguise itong pandemic eh. Dahil kung walang pandemic, may UAAP season, di ba, Quinito? And
yes.
Itong mga player na to may not be available. Ang mga PBA players, maaari naglalaro na talaga. Yung mga collegiate players are deep into the practices of their teams and of course going into the season. So kahit pa paano, nagkaroon ng blessing in disguise ang Gilas na nagkaroon ng oras ang maraming batang player para maipasok dito sa pool. You know, let me just go to the game itself, to the FIBA Asia Cup Qualifier, Quinito, in the bubble. we saw what a way to debut sa international scene. Di ba? I mean, a buzzer beater to win the game against a powerhouse Korea. Sabi mo nga, a true barometer of the international game. Kinito, what was the most impressive thing for you doon sa ating unang laro laban sa Korea?
The ability to come back from a big deficit. I thought that was very impressive because it showed courage, it showed guts, and it showed a lot of spunk. We were down 17 points in the first half, but Coach Tab always looks at the big picture. Because nakita natin the reason why we were down by 17 in the first half was because we succumbed to the Korean brand of bully ball. You know, they were hitting us. When they were defending us, they were hitting our face with elbows. Hindi lang masyado tinatawag ng referee. But nakikita natin yung physicality ng Korea was very intimidating. And our young guys were intimidated, let's face it. But at halftime, when Coach Tab said, look, guys, you've got to stand your ground. You've got to do something about this. But not only that, nag-backfire din sa Korea. Because Korea's main intention was to bully ball because we were a young team. And they thought that we would just cower and collapse. But hindi. What happened was, number one, Korea gave up too many free throws. We made 18 free throws because of too much physicality and fouling by Korea. Korea shot only 4 points, all coming from one player, si Ratliff. So 18-4 disparity in free throws made. Secondly, 2 Koreans fouled out. 2 key Korean players, again because of their bully ball. 2 other players had 4 personal fouls by the time the game ended. So nag-backfire sa kanila yung kanilang strategy. No? But beyond that, I thought the fact that the guys wanted to win so badly. That last play, 2.9 seconds to go, Dwight Ramos was inbounding, almost caught by a 5-second violation because hindi niya maipasok yung bola. The reason being, the play was for the bigs to catch the ball and go for a high percentage shot. Kahit Tamayo,
dalawa nila ating malaki doon eh. Punasok niya sabay si Ange Kwame at si Sotto for the first time.
Yes, at saka si Carl Tamayo nasa loob pa.
Correct.
So any one of those bigs could have gotten the ball and went for a high percentage shot. But they were well covered by Korea because, matitalino din dito mga kalaban natin. But the guts of Belangel to make himself available to get the pass, yun ang talagang nakaka-impress. Yeah. Because when all bases were covered, Belangel went out of his way to receive that pass because he knew 5 seconds were coming up. Mababiolate tayo and then mabibigyan ng Korea ng possession to win the game. So he got the ball. That's number 1. He made himself available. Yung number 2, he took the shot. Yun ang talagang sabi ko, grabe ang puso nitong bata. And he exemplified, hindi lang yung puso niya, pero yung puso ng buong team. When he got off that shot, sabihin natin lucky shot. Okay, but he took the shot. He wasn't afraid to take the big shot and he made it.
Well, alam mo, bago natin himayin yung mga individual players natin, Quinito, I have one final question about the team, at least doon sa kanilang unang pagpasok. May mga kumuna na medyo kulang ng shooters, medyo kulang ng konti pang spacers ng floor para talagang maka-operate yung ating mga malalaki. What do you think about that? What do you think does the team need based on that initial performance ng Gilas?
I agree completely, Comnoli, because I'm comparing it to the team of the 1980s, yung ating Philippine team. We had an outstanding shooter there who was just unstoppable from outside, si Alan Kaidik. We need someone like him or maybe 2 people like Alan Kaidik who are dead shots from the outside. I think it's a matter of just refining what we have. And as I said, if you bring in some key pieces to be able to bolster that lineup. I think Dwight Ramos, he needs just to be a little steadier in getting that shot from the outside. But these guys also are a little fatigued because this is a very different pace. And you also recall that this Gilas team did not have the luxury of a single tune-up game. So all of a sudden, sabak sila sa gera. And then with just 1 day pagitan between games, it's taking a toll. And I'm so excited to find out how the Philippines will play Korea bukas. Was it a fluke yung ating victory natin? Or will we be able to stay that tinalo ninyo ang Indonesia by 23, kami tinalo namin by 25. O ano ngayon?
Alam mo, yung sabi nga nila, shots fired dahil nagpapalitan na si Coach Chong at saka si Coach Tab. But we'll find out tomorrow. Let's go to the individual players very quickly, Quinito. And of course, ang atensyon ng karamihan ng tao is on Kai Sotto. Talk about lack of playing time. He never really had too much time with the team dahil sa quarantine situation niya. And yet, he performed quite decently in his first game. Quinito, how do you rate the initial game ni Kai para sa Gilas Pilipinas?
Well, the first game he had 11 points and 7 rebounds. I thought that was maybe I would rate him a 7, okay, out of 10. I thought he was a little gigil. Gusto niya maka-score kaagad at kalaban niya si Ratliff. I thought he did very well offensively, but I thought also he was an intimidating factor inside. But you know, Kai Sotto will not beat a team by himself, and Coach Tab knows that. And I think Kai is also realizing that he can be a factor in this team playing within the system of Coach Tab. And it showed in the second game against Indonesia. He had 7 points. I think he might have gotten also about 7 rebounds in that game. But now he played within the system. He was trying to defend someone whom he knows very well, si Lester Prosper, because they practiced just about over a month ago in Miami together in preparation for the qualifiers of FIBA Asia Cup. So, you know, I think it's still a maturing process for him. In his second game, I thought he didn't improve to 8. I thought he still remained at a 7 out of 10. But what I saw was that in the second game, he played more within the system of Coach Tab. So yung familiarity, nakikita na natin, unti-unti na build up ni Kai Sotto.
All right, let's talk about Ange Kwame, Quinito. Some big shots from the outside. Something na hindi natin nakikita during his college days. Not as consistent, of course, but he hit 3 big triples. How, you know, bakit fit na fit si Ange sa sistema ni Coach Tab?
I think the reason is Coach Tab is building a team of role players. Walang superstar dito sa team nato eh. If you bring in some professionals or PBA players who are used to a lot of individual plays, it may disrupt the kind of system that Coach Tab wants. No? We have very, very skilled players in the PBA, but they need to be grounded into a system over a long period of time. And because the PBA has a season that's continues to grind, it may be difficult for them to be familiar. It's the same problem in the US because of the NBA. When you're getting players and have them work out for a national team for 2 weeks, it may not be enough. And you're seeing the results in the last World Cup. The US took what, 6th place? So, you know, it's difficult. And even the US is now beginning to realize the importance of having a team stay together, play together, and be familiar with playing and trusting each other. So, you know, again, in answer to your question, it's a matter of getting that chemistry together. And that's very, very important for a team like Gilas, especially a young team. And it's a perfect timing because it's precisely because it's a young team. Wala pang mga so-called bad habits. It's a team that is being formed. So if they embrace that system, if they play together for a period of time, we're going to be seeing a very cohesive unit that will have chemistry, cooperation, cohesion, and trust. I think that's those ingredients are very important.
All right. You know, marami pa tayong pwedeng himayin ng mga player. Carl Tamayo was really a revelation. You know, he looks like the future of a power forward or small forward position para sa Pilipinas. Justin Baltasar was exceptional. In Indonesia, he knocked down a lot of outside shots. Nakikita mo ba, Quinito, that, you know, this team is showing, you know, the kind of basketball that can really compete internationally. Maybe locally, mag-iiba ang kanilang role, but are these players embracing this particular responsibility to adjust their game towards the international demands?
I think so, no? And one thing about our players is that they're very, very coachable and adjustable because of their versatility. And you've got to hand it to our coaching staff, Coach Tab, and of course his assistants, no? Si Jong, si Caloy Garcia, si Boyet Fernandez, si Alton Lister, Sandy Arespacochaga, Sandy Soriano. All of those guys are contributing tremendously in terms of bringing confidence and trust in these players. And when they're on the floor, you can see that role player concept is really kicking in. You have Justin Baltasar, as you mentioned, Carl Tamayo. Everybody is playing a role. Nobody is taking the team on his shoulders and saying, "Ako na ang bahala." Hindi. Because you win in international basketball with 5 players on the floor, not with 1.
All right. Ang tanong, Quinito, ang ganda ng simula. Of course, we're looking at the good game tomorrow. For moving forward, is this program sustainable?
I think it is sustainable because these guys are young talents. Their only commitments are to their schools. And palagay ko naman, yan ay pwedeng pag-usapan. UAP will most likely start in February of next year. There will be ample time for these guys to go back to their schools and play for their varsities. But as far as Coach Tab is concerned, yes, this is the foundation of the future. And as I keep on saying, we're talking about the future. Well, the future is here. The future has arrived. And with this team, we can build for a better future for Philippine basketball. The big test, of course, will be the Olympic qualifying tournament.
Exactly. And I was going to ask you about that. Alam naman natin, suntok sa buwan yan. We're not really hoping, to beat all of these world powers. But anong dapat na maging mindset nitong team na to, itong mga batang ito, patungo sa OQT?
Soak in the experience and improve game after game. I think by the time they go to Serbia to play in the Olympic qualifying tournament, they will have had a lot of practice games. They will have had the exposure of playing in FIBA Asia Cup. And, of course, before any of that is talked about, we've got that big game against South Korea. Malaking test yan, no? Because the Philippines is out to prove that victory was no fluke. And South Korea wants vengeance. But, having said that, win or lose bukas, going to the OQT in Serbia, our first games will be against Serbia, the home team, and then we play the Dominican Republic.
Right.
Jokic is no longer playing in the NBA playoffs because his team has been eliminated. So I would imagine that Jokic is going to be playing in Serbia. Of course, no, that's his home country.
Nagsabi siya na he will not play in the OQT and he may skip the Olympics. Nagsalita na siya, Quinito.
Really? Well, no, I didn't know that. Pero believe me, Serbians have a lot of pride. And kung anong mga sinabi ni Jokic that he will not play, whether the qualifiers or the Olympics itself, ako ang kutob ko, maglalaro din yun. I mean, Jokic is the NBA MVP. And the Serbians will kill him if he's not able to play for the national team. Ano ba yan? I think
kailangan ka, no?
I think he has to serve his purpose.
All right.
But even without Jokic, they still have a lot of players. Si Bjelica, for instance, tapos na yung Miami, so pwede siya makalaro doon. But Serbia and Dominican Republic, we have to win one of those games to be able to go to the semifinals. And in the other group, you've got Puerto Rico, you've got Italy and Senegal. So it will be Puerto Rico and Italy who will go to the semifinals. Tanggalin na natin yung Senegal. Sa atin naman, we're hoping that Dominican Republic matatanggal. But whatever, if we beat the Dominican Republic and go to the semifinals of the OQT, ang makakalaban natin either Italy or Puerto Rico. Both of those teams are tough. But even if we're able to upset any one of those teams, if we go to the finals, we'll probably play Serbia all over again. And Serbia will win. I can almost see it. No? But the fact that we are able to even think that we can win even one game in the Olympic qualifying tournament, I think it's a big thing. It means that the SBP, the Philippines, has delivered a message that we have basis to hope for bigger things in Philippine basketball.
And obviously, ang tina-target naman natin is 2023, Quinito, and that's a long ways to go. And if you talk about 2023, Quinito, where does the PBA fall into place in the grand scheme of things para sa ating national team?
I think the Philippines will always need are best players in the PBA. That's very clear. And the most skilled players in Asia. And I've been watching games in Chinese Taipei, in China, and Korea, and Japan. I can safely say that as far as skill level individually, the Filipino basketball player is in an amazing level. So I think when the World Cup comes in and we have our core of players coming from this cadets team, there will be pieces to fill. I think there will be a place for an Ara Pogoy. There will be a place for a Junmar Fajardo, depending on their level of play and their ability to adjust quickly to the kind of system that Coach Tab wants. There will be a place for PBA players, as there will be a place for Jordan Clarkson. And I'm hoping that FIBA eventually grants Jordan status as a local, not a naturalized. Kung ang FIBA naman magbibigay ng local status to Brandon Jawato, who got his citizenship only last year, who has been in Indonesia only for 5 years. Ano ba naman? Jordan Clarkson, okay, he's not a resident of the Philippines. But when he was 6 years old, he was wearing a Barong Tagalog. Pagbigyan mo naman bata, the kid wants to play for the Philippines. Give him a chance. The guy has Filipino blood in his veins.
Well, alam mo, Makakinito, kahit papano, talaga naman dapat yung may dugong Pilipino paglaruin ng FIBA. And we spoke to Hagop about that. We certainly hope na magkaroon ng adjustments. On the other hand, of course, sa PBA, we're hoping, of course, at the very least, and immediately, itong team na to ay ma-accommodate sa PBA as a guest team. Hopefully, they can even hone their skills. Alam naman natin kung gaano katindi ang competition, ang bakbakan sa loob ng court. But again, as you said, the best players should represent the country in the 2023 FIBA World Cup within that system, within the grand scheme of things ng Gilas Pilipinas. And how that will happen, we don't know. But looking at the landscape right now, Quinito, andyan ang regional basketball na hinahanda ng MPBL, Bismin Cup, NBL. Andyan ang collegiate basketball ng UAAP, NCAA, and all of the collegiate leagues. And of course, the professional league, ang PBA. Are we on the right track sa Philippine basketball, Quinito?
I think so, no? I'm seeing a golden age coming up. And you raised a very important point about the possibility of the national team playing in the PBA. And again, it reminds me of of what happened in the mid-80s. Yes. When the Philippines won that championship in the FIBA Asia tournament, when the national team played in the PBA and even won a championship. And I think that can be replicated, it can be duplicated, and it should be because, as you said, tough competition ng PBA. I think the PBA players are out also to show, sandali, itong mga bata na to, we're going to teach them a lesson or two, and it's going to be great for the national team to learn from the PBA players because there is so much to learn still.
Alam mo, ako, I'm a firm believer of this program. I do believe that we have to build from the core. And I think really, kung gustong tumulong ng PBA, aside from really getting the good players, they can provide a platform talaga na mahinog itong koponan na to. And, as a parting shot, Quinito, tomorrow we're playing Korea. Ano ang gusto mong makita na, something that will even further support and strengthen our position that this is the right program that we're seeing right now?
Well, I think it's important that the Philippines stays grounded. Okay, we have 2 wins in this third qualifying window. I think it's important that we stay composed. I think Korea is going to come out firing. In that first game, the Philippines out-rebounded Korea, even if just by 1. The fact that we out-rebounded them means that we held our own underneath the boards. No? I think Korea, if they played bully ball in the first game, they will play bullier ball in the second game. I think they will even be more physical, but they have learned their lesson. So they probably won't foul as much as they did in the first game. They don't want to get beaten from the free throw line. I mean, 18-4, that's a major disparity. And they want to make sure that their players will still be on the court at the end game and not foul out. But I think that Korea plays a system. So yung sinasabi ko kanina that they will not give too many free throws to the Philippines, baka hindi din mangyari yun eh. Because it's not in their DNA. They're out there to bully. They're out there to play a fast-paced game. And for us, we know what the Koreans can do, so we should be better prepared. We're prepared for war. These guys are going to come out with a sense of vengeance. I'm talking about the Koreans. And in the first game, they relied on their two main scorers. Lee Hyung-jun, whom I said before the qualifiers, that's the guy to watch. That guy's an NBA player.
Yeah.
Second year at Davidson College, which is where Steph Curry came from. He averaged 13.5 points, shot 90% from the free throw line, 44% from three-point distance. He's got 2 more years of NCAA Division I ball coming up. After that, believe me, he will be drafted in the NBA. That guy's an NBA player. So Korea wanted to give him a lot of possessions, a lot of touches, which he did. And then Ratliff, of course, he will get his touches. And guess what? Korea only had 2 players in double figures, those 2 guys. But I think in this coming game, they will spread their offense a little bit more to make sure that more guys are involved. So we have to be careful. Well, we can't just double up on Ratliff because they have too many gunners out there who can take their shots off a double team on Ratliff. So it will be a very interesting game to see how we have matured from the first game in this qualifying window, and if we can stay grounded and composed and play to Coach Tab's tune, I think we'll still be able to surprise a lot of our fans.
Pride ang Korea, pero of course matapang ang Pinoy, and masyadong malaki ang puso ng atletang Pilipino, Quinito. And I really believe that no matter what happens, anong klase mang bullier ball at kung sino mang barumbado ilabas nila dyan, I think yung pride at puso ng Pilipino sa Gilas Pilipinas ay lalabas bukas. Quinito, always a pleasure to have you. Kailangan sa iyo, 2 oras ka dito sa akin. And I'm very happy to have you. And I hope to see you in the games very soon. Maraming salamat, Quinito.
Thank you very much, and the pleasure is always mine. Maraming salamat, Coach Dolly.
Maraming salamat. Yan po mga kaibigan, ang ating kaibigan, and of course, the guru, the dean of Philippine sports, si Quinito Henson, breaking down Gilas Pilipinas at ang kanilang kinabukasan with Philippine basketball in its real glory right now. All right, mga kaibigan, kami po ay magbe-break. When we come back, we talk more ng kabayanihan ng atletang Pilipino. Dito po sa Power and Play, hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Doom.
Welcome to the Gigalife. Your passions, your stories, your life, simplified with just one app. This is the future. The Gigalife in just one tap. Experience more Giga moments when you make the smart choice. With the Philippines' fastest mobile data network. How do I know it's T1? Simple, smart ako. Welcome to the Gigalife. Your passions, your stories, your life, simplified with just one app. This is the future. The Gigalife in just one tap. Experience more Giga moments when you make the smart choice. With the Philippines' fastest mobile data network. How do I know it's T1? Simple, smart ako.
Nagbabalik po ang Power and Play. Kinakamusta po natin lahat ng ating mga tagapakinig sa Radyo 5 Taxi Squad. And of course, lahat po ng mga nasa emergency room, lalong-lalo na dyan sa SPC Medical Center. At this point, mga kaibigan, paalala lang po, Puso Pilipinas is a movement to celebrate the Filipino athlete powered by Smart. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Get a chance to win exclusive Puso Pilipinas merch by sharing their Facebook page and your social media accounts with hashtag Puso Pilipinas. The Gigalife app is the latest mobile app from Smart that lets you discover and enjoy your passions with the different Giga promos. It can be downloaded and used by Smart Postpaid, Smart Prepaid, Bro Prepaid, and TNT subscribers via the Apple or Google Play Store. What can the Gigalife app do for me? Well, check your balance, monitor your current subscription, top up using debit credit card, subscribe to the latest Giga promos, monitor your data consumption, auto-detect your mobile number when you are connected to Smart Network one-tap subscription to the most popular offer, Giga Video 99. Live Smart! Ang Power and Play po is powered by Smart. Alright, at this point, bago natin ipasok ang ating susunod na panauhin, balikan muna natin ang best moments sa ating This Week in Sports History. 45 years ago nang tuluyan nang magsara ang American Basketball Association o ABA sa Amerika. Tumagal ng 9 na taon ang naturang liga na sikat sa paggamit ng multicolored ball. Sa naturang liga ring unang nakilala sina Dr. J. Julius Erving at the Iceman George Gervin. Pero dahil sa pagkalugi, 1976 nang kinailangang nang magsara ng ABA. At ang 4 na pinakamalakas nilang teams, ang New York Nets, San Antonio Spurs, Indiana Pacers at Denver Nuggets sumali na sa NBA. The ABA folds down and merges with the NBA this week in sports history. Naku ngayon yung Nets, ayun naman po yung Brooklyn Nets. Kaya kita nyo naman, napakalawak ng kasaysayan ng basketball sa Amerika. Alright, mga kaibigan, pinag-uusapan natin ngayon ang kabayanihan ng ating mga atletang Pilipino. Well, ang ating pong susunod na magiging panauhin, ang isa sa pinakahuling nakapasok sa Tokyo Olympics para sa Team Pilipinas. Siya po ay sa larangan ng weightlifting at siya po ang ikalawa nating pambato sa weightlifting after ang ating silver medalist sa Olympics, si Heidelin Diaz. Walang iba kundi ang ating panuhin ngayong araw pong ito, ang ating bagong Olympian, si Elreen Ando mula sa Cebu. Elreen, magandang umaga sa iyo.
Hello po, good morning po.
Una-una, congratulations. Kami talagang tuwang-tuwa sa iyong pag-qualify sa Tokyo Olympics. Alam mo, may nabasa lang ako just before we get to the interview na ikaw daw talagang nasorpresa nung na-announce sa iyo ni Coach Gary yung pagkakapasok mo sa Olympics.
Yes po, sir.
Pakikwento mo nga sa amin, bakit? Nawalan ka na ba ng pag-asa after Tashkent?
Ano po, sir, yung after ng game ko doon, nagtawag kasi yung president namin na congrats po, Elreen. Tapos focus tayo sa 2024 Olympics. Kasi yun yung target namin. Kasi unexpected na din yun, sir, yung 2020 Olympics po, sir.
Oo. Pero, alam mo, sumali ka sa 6 na qualifiers and obviously, napakaganda ng performance mo sa Asian weightlifting championship, 2 silver, 1 bronze medal. Kahit papaano, umaasa ka ba talaga na ako sana maka-qualify pa rin ako sa pamamagitan ng continental allocation? Nasa utak mo pa ba 'yon, Elreen?
Medyo meron naman po, sir. Tapos yung goal ko talaga makapaglaro ng Olympics sa 2024 po.
Oo. So napaaga pa.
Yes po.
Ikaw, Elreen, alam natin na lumabang ka doon sa gitna ng dinadaanan nating pandemya. Gaano kahirap? Anong mga hamon na hinarap mo sa pagtitraining para ikaw ay makarating sa Olympiada?
Yung challenges po, sir.
Oo. Ano yung mga challenges na yon, Elreen?
Yung mga problema, yung financial problem, tapos yan lang, sir, yung mga pinagdaanan na mga hirap sa buhay. Tapos training, laban lang.
Oo. Noong panahon bang yun, Elreen, saan ka nagtitraining? Nasa loob ba kayo ng bubble o nandiyan ka lang sa Cebu?
Nasa Cebu lang po ako, sir.
Oo. At so paano ang communications ninyo ng yung coach?
Yung coach namin, sir, yung sa Cebu din, sir. Sa Cebu din siya naka-base po.
So talagang nakatutok naman siya sa'yo at kahit paano natutulungan ka talaga?
Yes po, sir. Yung 3 coach ko po dito sa Cebu. Sa oras ng training ko, nandyan po talaga sila palagi, sir. Nakatingin sa training ko, nag-support, lalo na yung mga teammates ko, sir.
Alright. Well, alam mo, hindi marami ang nakakakilala sa iyo, Elreen. So gusto kong kahit paano ma-introduce ka na ikaw ay magdadala ng ating bandila dyan sa Tokyo Olympics. Unang-una, you are 22 years old. Anong edad ka nung unang pumasok sa laro ng weightlifting?
14 years old po, sir.
At sino naman ang nag-introduce sa iyo dito sa sport na to? Kwento mo nga sa amin.
Si Coach Gary po, sir. Yung bata pa ako, kinuha niya ako sinabihan niya po ako na magsali ako ng weightlifting. Tapos siya yung nag-training sa akin hanggang nakapagkuha ng scholarship sa University of Cebu, sir. Hanggang tuloy-tuloy na yung mga dumating na swerte sa buhay, nakapasok sa national team hanggang nawakan sa national coach po ng weightlifting po, sir, hanggang yun dumating yung panahon na nakapaglaro na po ng international event po, sir.
Elreen, bakit weightlifting ang napili mo? Nung araw ba may iba kang sport na hilig? At bakit yan ang finally nagsettle ka sa weightlifting? Alam natin hindi madali ang larong yan.
Ano po, sir, si Coach Gary po, sir, kapitbahay talaga kami niyan sa lugar namin, sir. Tapos dati, sir, ano lang po ako, parang street children lang po, naka-laboy-laboy sa squatter po, sir. Tapos yung pamangkin niya, kaibigan ko. Tapos bigla nagsabi magpasok daw kami ng weightlifting. Try lang po daw namin na mag-training kasi maganda daw sa buhay yung pagiging atleta na makapunta sa ibang bansa, sa ibang lugar, na magkaroon ng allowance. Tapos yun, sir, yung nag-training kami, tapos nag-training si Coach Gary sa amin.
Oo.
Hanggang dumating yung araw na nakapaglaro kami ng Batang Pinoy po, sir.
Okay. Ilang ba kayo magkakapatid sa pamilya, Elreen? Alam ko, marami daw kayong magkakapatid eh. Ilan ba kayo?
6 po.
Ilan?
6 po.
6. Ba? Talagang marami. Anong reaction ng mga kapatid mo nung ikaw ay inanunsyong papunta ng Tokyo Olympics?
Masaya po sila, sir, supportive. Tapos sila yung isang rason na naging lalaban ako sa mga laro po, sir. Tapos naging inspiration ko po sila, sir.
Alam ko na meron kang kapatid na tatrabaho sa Qatar.
Meron po, sir. OFW po siya sa Qatar, sir.
Yung ate mo ata, no? Ate mo ata yun? Si Donabel, tama ba yun?
Yes po, sir.
Alright.
Pangalan namin, sir.
Oo. At of course, naisulat na rin ang mga naging problema ng iyong pamilya. Of course, maaga kang nawalan ng ina at ang ama mo na si si Lupito ay nagkaroon ng stroke.
Yes, sir.
Elreen, gano'ng kalaking impluwensya ang iyong mga magulang sa iyong pagiging atleta?
Ano po, sir, yung parang mga nasabi ko sa sarili ko, sir, na challenges lang po lahat ng mga dumaan na mga problema, sir.
Ngayon ba, kamusta ang iyong ama? Alam na ba niya na ikaw papunta ng Tokyo?
Yes po, sir.
Very good.
Parang masaya din siya na naging qualify ako sa Olympic.
Ano naging reaksyon ng iyong ama? Ano naging reaksyon ng iyong ama?
Parang masayang-masaya po, sir. Tapos, yung reaction niya, sir, parang sobrang saya niya po.
Wow, nakakatuwa. Of course, maliban sa sports, meron ka pa bang ibang interest, Elreen, na pagka hindi ka nagbubuhat ng mga bakal, ano mga interest mo? Ikaw ba mahilig ka sa mga mobile games? Mahilig ka ba sa mga sine? Meron ka bang ganong klaseng interest outside of sports?
Ano po, sir, pag after ng training, maglaro-laro lang po ng Mobile Legend, pawala ng stress po, sir.
Wow, nakakatuwa talaga. At meron ka bang isang atleta na iniidolo? Model athlete para sa'yo na yung gustong kopyahin papunta ng Olympics?
Meron po, sir, si Ate Heidi po.
Si Ate Heidelin. Talaga. Bakit si Heidelin, Elreen?
Kasi ano po, sir, dati ko po kasi yung idol, sir, sobrang lakas, ganyan. Once na mag-motivate siya sa teammates niya, sobrang ganda. Tapos ma-inspired ka talaga sa mga sinasabi niya na soon makapaglaro ng Olympics. Kagaya niya. Yung pag-motivate niya sa amin, sir, na maganda talaga, sir.
Alright. Well, alam mo, focus tayo sa Olympics ngayon, Elreen. Halos isang buwan na lamang bago sumapit ang Tokyo Olympics. Ano ang assessment mo so far sa performance mo sa Asian Championships? Ano pa ang sa tingin mong dapat mong palakasin? Saan nakafocus ang training mo ngayon, Elreen?
Yung ano po, sir, yung makapasok po ako sana sa top 3 ng Olympics po, sir.
Pero saan ka ngayon nakafocus pagdating sa iyong training, sa iyong ensayo? Dahil nakita mo na yung performance mo sa Asian Championships, nakita mo yung lakas mo. So ano ngayon ang advice sa iyo ng iyong mga coaches? Meron ka pa bang lalabanan ng mga torneo? Saan ka ngayon nagko-concentrate?
Yung sa training po, sir, kasi yung preparation namin, sir, na more double time training po kami. Tapos yung technique ko dapat mas maganda pa rin yung magawa ko doon sa Olympics. Yung performance ko po na mas the best pa yung nakaraang laro ko po, sir.
Okay. Meron ba mga naging tips sa iyo si Ate Heidelin?
Meron po, sir.
Ano yung sinabi sa iyo ni Heidelin, Elreen?
Sabi, ano po, sir, yung ito na po yung dream game mo. Dapat focus sa training. Huwag mo na isipin yung mga problema. Tapos yung technique.
Alright. Elreen, alam mo, may nababalita din, ang PSC daw ay magbibigay sa iyo ng mga equipment, mga weights para magamit mo sa iyong training habang ikaw ay nasa Cebu. Meron ka ba bang ibang kailangan na idudulog natin sa ating mga kinaukulan sa iyong paghahanda patungo sa Tokyo?
Wala na po, sir, kasi yung mga kinakailangan ko po, sir, nabigay na po ng PSC, sir. Tapos
Very good.
nagpasalamat din ako sa kanila, lalo na sa PSC, sa president namin, na full support talaga yung binibigay nila sa akin, sir.
Nakakatuwa naman at tayo nagpapasalamat sa Philippine Sports Commission kay Chairman Butch, and of course sa Philippine Weightlifting Federation si Congressman Monico. Suportahan natin ang ating mga weightlifters. Before I let you go, Elreen, bago kita pakawalan, malapit ang iyong araw ng pagtutuo sa Olympics. Ano ang nagiging motivation mo para manalo sa Tokyo sa darating na simula ng Olympics?
ano po sir yung goal na makapag maganda lang yung performance doon sa Olympics po, sir.
Marami nagsabi na ito na yung susi patungo sa pagkakahango sa kahirapan ng buhay. Is that a motivation para sa iyo? Lalong-lalo na, sabi mo nga sa isang interview na gusto mong tulungan ang iyong ate Donabel na isang OFW sa Qatar.
Yes po, sir. Isang motivation ko po na sana po nandito na ako makapaglaro ng Olympics. Tapos after ng laro po, sir, sana po matulungan ko na po yung ate ko doon na dito na lang po siya sa Pilipinas. Tapos ako na lang po yung sana magsuporta sa kanila. Tapos magsama-sama na po kami, sir.
Nakakatuwa. Talagang pambihira ang iyong lakas na loob at ang iyong butihang puso para tulungan ang iyong pamilya. Elreen, bilang huli kong katanungan, ngayon na ikaw ay magiging isang Olympian, ano ang ibig sabihin sa iyo sa iyong pagtungtong sa Olympics personal? What does this mean to you being called an Olympian?
Parang masaya po, sir. Tapos parang hindi ko expect na dumating na po ako sa pagiging Olympian po, sir. Tapos parang masaya sa feeling na isang Olympian na po, sir.
Well, kami ay umaasa na kahit papano ay patuloy na maging mabuti yung kalagayan, Elreen, at kami patuloy na magdarasal para sa iyong performance sa Tokyo. Maraming salamat sa panahong ibinigay mo sa amin and we wish you all the best.
Thank you po, sir.
Maraming salamat. Yan po mga kaibigan, ang ating latest na Olympian, si Elreen Ando. Siya po ay lalaban sa 64 kilogram division ng weightlifting sa Tokyo Olympics. Wow, talaga namang sana po ay mabigyan siya ng karagdagang panglakas ng loob para po lalo pang magbigay ng karangalan sa ating bansa. At this point, mga kaibigan, gusto ko na po magpasalamat sa lahat ng tagapagtaguyod ng Power and Play. Of course, una sa lahat, ang Big Boss Cement. Big Boss sa tatag, Big Boss sa tibay. Nandito na ang Big Boss Cement. Di basta matitibag, approved sa kalikasan at sobrang abot kaya. Big Boss Cement is the first eco-friendly cement company in the Philippines. First and only cement that is produced with low to 0% of high carbon footprint materials. Big Boss Cement. Marami pong salamat kay Engineer Gilbert Cruz sa kanilang Pangulo at Chief Company Innovator. Marami din po salamat sa Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Sa ganitong pabago-bago ang panahon, mga kababayan, sobrang init, tapos biglang uulan. Kailangan natin ang matibay at protektadong bubong. Dapat ang bubong ay yerong may aluminum. Kapag may aluminum, tsak na pang matagalan. At isa lang ang alam kong dekalidad na yerong may aluminum, yan ang Cherry Loom. Tibay, protektado sa pangmatagalang yero. Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Thank you so much kay paring Elmer Ngo ng Cherry Loom. Marami din po salamat sa Elms Kapihan and Bar, Elms Resto Bar Group with branches at Elms Tapas and Winery located in Calia Bistro, Commonwealth, Quezon City at sa Elms Grill and Bar sa Poblacion, Makati. You may call their mobile number 0977-157-0499 o di kaya bisitahin ang kanilang FB at IG pages at Elms Resto Bar Group for reservations and inquiries. Thank you kay Ma'am Malu Yambao. Thank you also sa Joyride, ang bago ninyong kasundo. Dahil ayaw naming nahihirapan ka, book Joyride Motorcycle Taxi now and experience hassle-free commute. Kapag delivery naman, Joyride ang gamitin. Bagsak presyo pero hindi ang serbisyo. Joyride is now on its lowest rates ever. And of course, bukas na rin po ang latest edition sa Joyride family, ang JR Mall na makikita sa kanilang mobile app. So download the latest super app ng Joyride. Thank you also sa Maquillage Professional, your school of makeup artistry, the official makeup of Power and Play. At marami din po salamat sa Skin, your face and body anti-aging center with branches at Wilson Street, San Juan City at sa Alabang Town Center sa Muntinlupa City. We provide in-the-butt tissue regeneration, procedure, mesotherapy, Maximus Trilipo, and many more and to take care of your body needs. For inquiries, please call 0917-809-8888 0917-888-8686. Hanapin lang po ninyo si Dr. G. Sarmiento at si Doc Richie Sarmiento. And of course, maraming salamat po sa Smart. Live Smart. Ang Power and Play po is powered by Smart. Alright, at this point mga kaibigan, tuloy-tuloy po tayo sa ating po mga panauhin. Oh, alright. We'll take a quick break. Sa amin pong pagbabalik, ating pong makakausap ang isa pang Olympian, ang ating pinagmamalaking pole vaulter, si EJ Obiena sa Power and Play. Hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Loom.
Welcome to the Gigalife. Your passions, your stories, your life, simplified with just one app. This is the future. The Gigalife in just one tap. Experience more Giga moments when you make the smart choice. With the Philippines' fastest mobile data network. How do I know it's T1? Simple, smart ako. Welcome to the Gigalife. Your passions, your stories, your life, simplified with just one app. This is the future. The Gigalife in just one tap. Experience more Giga moments when you make the smart choice. With the Philippines' fastest mobile data network. How do I know it's T1? Simple, smart ako.
Naimbag na bigat sa ating po mga kaibigan dyan po sa Baguio City. Kamusta po kayo? Ito po ang Power and Play. Hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Loom. Napabalita the other day na patuloy ang vaccination ng mga makakasama dyan po sa Tokyo Olympics. Mga staff, ang mga workers, lahat po ay nagsisimula na magpabaksin. Kaya po, alam mo, napaka-importante ito dahil syempre para sa proteksyon ng lahat. And talking about that, dito po sa segment na to, gusto po natin ngayong ipasok ang ating panayam sa isa na namang pinagmamalaki ng Pilipinas. He recently broke the Philippine record sa outdoor pole vault event. At siya po ay ating inabutan kagabi mula sa kanyang training camp sa Italy. Ang ating unang Olympian na papunta sa Tokyo Olympics, walang iba kundi si EJ Obiena sa Power and Play.
This is like your fourth time on the show, and every time I see you, there's always something new. There's always something, a new record that you're breaking, EJ.
Yeah, we're working on that. So hopefully, it keeps going. Hopefully, I keep improving come Olympic Day.
Well, congratulations because alam natin, napabalita nga that last week you broke the Philippine records, yung outdoor pole vault record. And of course, a few months ago, you also broke the Philippine indoor record. Kaya nga sabi ko sa'yo, pataas ng pataas yung mga numero mo, the heights that you are climbing, you're jumping. Are you satisfied with the progress that you're making 1 month away from Tokyo?
I think I'm happy where I'm at, but satisfied is still a long way to go. I think, I guess Kobe said, job's not done. We're still working on it, and still a lot of things that sadly needs to be done still in this time come Olympic Day. So
Kagaya nun, ano yung mga bagay na yun, EJ? What are those things that you feel that you still need to focus on with about a month to go in training?
Oh, so training wise, I still need a lot of things. I need to polish my technique, my speed, my efficiency when it comes to the actual vaulting. So those are definitely things that I need to work on. But then, there's the logistic part of my event. Going to Tokyo, I'm trying to sort out how I'm going to bring my poles from here to Tokyo, and Tokyo to the training camp that Pataka has hosted us in Nagasaki, which is a flight away from Tokyo. Then I need my new poles. Actually, currently I'm using a series that's kind of incomplete, so I'm working on that, like getting the poles here as soon as possible, because I got my poles damaged back in February, and then I called up actually Sir Pope. I was like, yeah, I would need some replacement poles, and sadly some issues are arising, and I still haven't got my equipment. So we're working on.
Wow. So in other words, EJ, yung ginawa mong feat, your achievements lately was done or were done despite the fact that you are not using a pole that you're used to, or at least yung talagang sayo. Is that correct? Is that accurate?
It's my pole, but I'm using because we have like progression. So we have poles that normally, if you have progression poles, it shouldn't have a big jump, and then it has the same progression from pole number 1 to pole number 2 to pole number 2 to number 3.
Oh.
So it's a bit of a. So I damaged 2 poles during indoors. I'm not really sure where, but when I went back to Italy, it was damaged. So I'm missing those poles that I need to be normally jumping on.
And how much time do you need to get used to a pole? We're only a little over a month away from the Olympics, and when are you expecting this pole, and how much time do you need to actually get the feel of that equipment?
To be honest, in my opinion, it doesn't take that much time to get used to it, because I already have jumped on it before. I just need it to be replaced because it's damaged. I cannot afford to take risks to use the damaged one. If it snaps, then I could rip my hand. I could broke a bone. So my coach decided to not risk on that. But getting used to it, I think it's easy. It's not that difficult. It's more of getting used to the bigger poles that I need to be on in competition. And yeah, that's the thing. I'm hoping that it arrives as soon as possible. We're working on that. We're working on it just to make sure that get those poles. Yeah.
You mentioned also yung need for logistics to make sure that you get to your training camp, you get to Tokyo with your equipment. Alam naman natin kung gaano kahaba yan, gaano kalaki yan, and of course the kind of expense that it will take to carry on or to log on that particular pole. Ang ibig mo sabihin, up to this time, a month away, hindi pa malinaw yan para sa'yo, EJ?
We have ideas on how it's going to go, but we need to make sure that it's not just some guy who just said, yeah, we'll take the poles. We need to make sure that it's going to be loaded in the plane. It's going to be loaded and not going to get damaged during the flight. And then the transit from Haneda going to Nagasaki, it needs to be loaded in a smaller plane safely, because if I arrive in Tokyo without my poles, or arrive in Tokyo with my damaged poles, all my hard work doesn't make any
Absolutely.
doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I'm just trying to make sure of that we're pulling as much strings that we can, So I'm calling people here and there, and POC, PSC, we're just trying to get everything kind of sorted.
Well, tayo po nang nanawagan sa PSC, sa POC, sa mga flag carriers natin, sa Philippine Airlines, sa lahat ng ating mga local airline companies na tulungan si EJ. I mean, this is no joke. Hindi po madali itong pagdala-dala ng isang napakahabang equipment. And you're thinking about the contest, the competition, and then you have to think about the logistics. I mean, that's a lot of load for you. And talking about that, EJ, what is your mindset going to Tokyo? Now that you're making all of these distances, I mean, these heights, ang mindset mo ba is making a particular number? Are you focusing on a number, or are you focusing on the competition?
I'm not really focusing on any number. Like, I'm happy I'm getting into greater heights and bigger heights and higher heights and whatnot, but the goal is kind of simple, it doesn't matter what height wins it, I need to jump that, and that's the goal. It's not specifically the competition as well. It's not just the numbers. It's more whichever height wins it, that's the height that I need to be able to jump. So that would not be set until Tokyo.
That's part of the strategy, I guess, EJ. When you go to the day itself, you will have to see what is the highest number out there, and dapat subukan mo yon. Or if you are the leading number, then obviously they'll have to go after you. So it's not a particular number. And when you get there, are you looking at a benchmark for you initially? That number that you feel will be comfortable for you until somebody else outjumps you in the competition?
I think it totally depends. The tactics will be played by my coach, not me. I'm going to be just jumping, focusing on the bar that's set for me. May that be the middle jump or the first jump, the opening height, or the last bar that I'm going to make. I'm just focusing on the things I need to do. So I can't really say which bar I'm going to jump. It depends on the day. It depends on how, it's a lot of variables there. That's why I bring 6 to 8 poles in my bag, because that totally depends on the day which pole it's going to be. Is it the stiffer one, then I can jump high, or is it the soft one because it's raining? These are variables that I just can't really control. So I just need to adapt to it.
All right. Well, talking about that, you have been very, very fortunate to have been training with some of the elite jumpers and competing with some of the greatest athletes in pole vault. And one of them, and I know that you have, it's been written that you have been training with the Olympic champion, Tiago Bras. You stay with him in camp in Formia. How much of an inspiration and an influence has Tiago been to you? And what have you learned from the Olympic champion?
I learned way too much things to kind of enclose in one interview. I'm gonna say it now. I think even when I'm really old, I look up to him. He's like an older brother to me, and he has been helping me. I said to him this before as well. It's like there are times that I would just ask him, "What would Tiago do?" That would be the thing that I could do. It's a very. I've seen the guy through high and low, and the way he handled all of this, it's indescribable. He deserved that win in Rio for a reason, and he won that because he's just an amazing guy, and it's very difficult to kind of put that into words. And just seeing him each day go into the track and work, it's different. No money can buy that experience.
And it's good because meron ka nakikita, mabutit may modelo. There is an example, I have ehemplo para sa iyo na sundan ang mga yapak ni Thiago. You know, obviously you will be competing against each other in in Tokyo, but still, you know, at the end of the day, you know, as you said, there are many variables outside of just your own skills. So that will be very interesting. No, another name, of course, that is commonly discussed and cannot be not mentioned when you talk about the Olympics in pole vaulting is of course the miracle man from Sweden, Mondo Duplantis. No, and this is a guy, as you said in your own words, who jumps 6 meters and above, like he's eating breakfast every day. No, it's already regular fare for him. How much of Mondo is challenging you deep inside, and of course, affecting your preparations, EJ?
Wait, I don't think I'll be pushing myself this hard if he didn't jump that much high. You know, he's one of a kind. You know, he's a unicorn. Like I think he has been described of talent of a. You don't see that kind of talent in every generation. I mean, it shows. You know, I think he holds now a lot of I think top 10 jumps in the whole entire history of pole vaulting. I think he holds at least 5 of those, at least, humbly speaking. So, you know, these guys really, I don't know, he's probably the biggest dominant force in sport right now. But, you know, I go to the competition, I know what I'm getting into, and I still believe in myself. That's why I keep working hard. So it's a funny kind of thing because we're all friends in the circuit, but you know, we joke around like when I don't know if you guys can watch when he jumped the 610, we were at the side and we were like joking, this guy's gonna make it. And you know, it's not so fun to be a pole vaulter right now, but at the same time, it's really an amazing time to be one of the, you know, the strongest. Most competitive generation of pole vaulters ever.
And it's going to be amazing to watch you compete with all of that generational talent, as you mentioned, and of course all that elite talent. You're even not even talking about Sam Kendricks, the world champion, and many more names out there. Now, obviously, will be playing a very big part in the Olympics. Of course, one name that has been very much a part of you is your coach, Vitaly Petrov, and you know he has been a big help to you up to now. You know, there was a story about you how COVID almost made you go home, and it was Coach Petrov who convinced you to keep going. Can you tell us a little bit about that story, EJ?
Yeah, I mean, during when the COVID hit, let me just kind of explain what happened. So, you know, I felt I was in the middle of everything because I was here away from my family. I decided to fly 2 days after I compete in SEA Games straight back because I know I'm preparing for Tokyo. So I'm focusing on that. All the things that I do leads to that. And then when COVID hit, we got locked down here. And then I was at home, like I'm here and I didn't know what am I gonna do. You know, I'm training for something, but I don't know now if this something is gonna happen. Then the nightmare kind of just made it worse. And they said, yeah, Tokyo is postponed indefinitely, and we still don't know if it's gonna happen. And then the seasons, the competition that I'm supposed to take part in getting canceled and everything. So the logical thing to do is go back home. I mean, you can't train. You have nothing that you're preparing for. You have no Olympics. Why am I even here? It doesn't make any sense in my head at that moment. But yeah, my coach kind of noticed that I go to the training in whichever way that we're training at that time, and I wasn't fully there. I wasn't fully committed, and you know, I'm the type of guy that goes into training and give whatever I have in that day. But he saw that I wasn't the same, so he had to talk with me. It's like, you know, I see you, I understand what you're going through. You know, it's not an easy thing to do, but your job as an athlete that you take responsibility for is to improve each day. It doesn't matter if it's going to be for the Olympics, it's going to be for the next competition, or you don't know where you're going to go. You know, your job that day is to enter the track and leave a better athlete. And that kind of put me into perspective, the things I can work on. And, you know, that kept my psyche occupied and keeping myself more focused on the things I could actually control, the things I could actually do. To get better these aspects of my vaulting, or mentally be better on that day, or, you know, there's a lot of things that I could work on, and that's where I put my energy to, and that's where I put my head. And, you know, if I focus on the things I cannot control, when is the lockdown going to happen? When is Tokyo going to happen? If it's actually going to happen, you know, then I would just be helpless. I would feel really helpless.
Well, you know, if there's somebody that we have to thank, it will be Coach Petrov. If and when you get that medal, obviously he's been a terrific help, not only physically and technically to you, but I guess emotionally and psychologically, you know, EJ. And you know, when you talk about psychological, you've been away for so long. Ang tagal mo na dyan. You've been away from your family, from the people you love. How are you coping mentally? I mean, you know, we've heard athletes suffer from mental health problems. How are you coping, EJ?
I mean, the short answer would be I'm not really coping. I'm just distracting myself to not dwell into that at the moment. The action or the approach that I take to stay sane is the same way that we explained to me. It's like I need to go to the track and I focus on the thing that I need to do. So it's the same thing when I'm outside. I try to do the things for my goals, you know, the logistics that I said, you know, do the things that I need to do. Just, you know, just put my head on something, put my head on some task that I need to accomplish. So I don't need to focus on, oh, I've been out of the country for how many months. To be honest, I don't even count. Like, I'm not counting on that. And like, oh, I miss my dogs, my family, my mom, dad. Yeah, you know, there's going to be time for that. Right now, I need to just put my head down and keep going forward and keep working on things I can work on.
Namimiss mo bang pagkain Pilipino, EJ?
Of course.
All right.
Alright mga kaibigan, yan po ang panayam natin kay EJ Obiena, ang ating champion pole vaulter. Ngayon ay may hawak ng pole vault record ng Pilipinas, 5.85 meters. At sabi nga niya, sa bandang dulo ng panayam na yon, ang kanyang confidence level ay napakataas now. Pero syempre, maraming factors going into the Olympics. We certainly wish him all the best. Again, nananawagan po tayo, tulong ang kailangan ni EJ para po sa pagbitbit ng kanyang mga equipment patungo sa Tokyo, sa PSC, sa POC, sa lahat po ng ating mga airlines. Tulungan po natin ang ating kababayan. Ayusin natin. Hindi naman niya kailangan ng tulungan lang natin maayos lahat po ng kanyang kailangan patungo sa Tokyo Olympics. Alright, from one champion to another. Ang susunod po natin magiging panauhin ay ang kakakampiyon pa lamang sa Roland Garros or ang French Open sa girls juniors doubles ng French Open. At siya po ang ating pinagmamalaking teen tennis sensation. Ang aking pamangkin, walang iba kundi si Alex Eala sa Power and Play.
You know, I mentioned the 2 Grand Slam titles, of course, in the juniors in 2 years. I mean, how satisfying is that, Alex? I mean, you're halfway through a career Grand Slam, actually. Did you know that?
If you think about it like that, I'm very happy, and it's a really proud moment for me, and I hope for the country as well. It was a great experience, and I think the celebrations have come to a stop already, so I need to focus on my next tournament.
No, but before we go to the next term, I really want to continue the celebration because everybody's still very ecstatic about that win. You know, because it came on Independence Day. It came after Casaso's win. Then you had some victories by our Olympians. And then you have now Gilas Pilipinas winning. All of these young people carrying the name of the Philippines. And I'm sure that's something that makes all of you young athletes, very proud.
Of course, I think for a lot of big sports, there are very few like select Filipinos that can compete in a really high level, and that makes us really proud to represent our country.
Oh, well, let me ask you about Roland Garros because you won another title there. How is it playing in clay? How did you prepare for that also?
Well, I trained in clay. I trained in clay court here at the academy, preparing for that. And I think it's just, we work normally. It's not too big of a change. We still do the same routines and prepare myself both physically and mentally as well.
So in other words, when you train for hard court, when you train for clay and any other surface, it's still the same. Are you given some kind of tips by your coaches, by Rafa, on how that ball is going to jump, how that ball is going to spin, and things like that, just as a reminder on the surface that you play on?
Well, of course, I think most tennis players already know the difference between the surfaces and maybe you change your game a little bit here, a little bit there. When to finish the points faster, when to wait a bit more, but it shouldn't be a huge change to your game. I think the surface shouldn't be a huge thing. You just tweak a few minor shots.
Alex, you entered Roland Garros as the top-seeded doubles tandem with Oksana Selekmeteva, and you obviously lived up to that top seeding. But did you feel pressure entering as a top seed in the doubles?
No, not really. I think doubles is all about the energy that you put on court and how much you and your partner work together. And I think we had both great chemistry and great energy, of course. And she's a really good friend of mine off the court, so we didn't really pay attention to the seeding or anything like that.
Marami nagtatanong about that, no? Because in the Australian Open, you had an Indonesian partner and you won with her. And of course, now in the French Open, you won with a Russian partner. Can you explain to us, how do you select your partner? Is she given to you? Is that a choice you can make? And then when you do make that selection, how do you practice? Only when you see each other, or have you been practicing together with Oksana?
Well, this is my second time playing with Oksana. The first time was, I think, last month, and we got to the finals of a 25,000. So I think it was really good. You get to choose your own partners. It's not given to you or anything, and it really depends on it's also timing, who asked the other one first, and how you think your game is going to suit each other. And of course, being good friends really helps. And with both of those players, I have really good friendships with off the court.
What do you like about Selekmeteva, and how does she complement your game, Alex?
I like her attitude. I like how she's always so intense, and she's very professional. She reached the semis of the singles, and she had a pretty bad loss, but it didn't matter in doubles. Like she still gave everything she had, and when I'm down, she does her job as a partner to bring me up, and also the other way around. When she's not really feeling it, I have to, kind of give her energy also. And I think that's the biggest and most important thing in doubles.
She was obviously, doing very well in your tandem, although she she had a heavily wrapped thigh in
Yes.
that finals game. Was that a concern entering the finals? Was that, or was she playing
no,
injured?
I think she wasn't like seriously injured. I think it's just she had pain. She was wrapped in a lot of places. All the places you think that you could be wrapped, she was wrapped.
Yeah. Oh my.
So that's what I say about her professionalism. Also, is that she doesn't make it an excuse or anything. She still gives everything she has.
All right. Well, let's go to your games in the French Open. You played some very tough matches, despite the fact that I don't think you dropped a set, no, in the doubles. Did you?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because you went straight sets in the quarterfinals, in the semifinals. Of course, the toughest one was the quarterfinals when you went 7-6, 7-6. In the semis, you defeated the defending champs from Italy, and of course, your finals match. Can you assess your game, Alex? What did you like in the way you played this particular tournament?
I like my mentality, of course. I think I stayed positive. I tried my best to stay positive throughout the matches. Also moving a lot around court and not dwelling too much on the mistakes I made in my shots.
And when you look at that partnership with Oksana, what were the things that you feel you guys could have even done better? Despite the fact that it really seemed like you were very, very comfortable with each other, and of course, you went on to win the championship.
Sorry, wait. I know you.
Is there something else that you could have done better in that partnership with Select Meteva?
Of course, I think there's always room to improve. There were also moments where we were quite negative and getting a bit frustrated with ourselves, but I think it's good that's why we have the other one to calm each other down.
You had, of course, an opportunity also in the singles. You were among the top-seeded players in the French Open, girls singles, junior singles, but unfortunately, you suffered a defeat in your first match against the Brit, no? Everyone was expecting, of course, big things from you. What happened in your singles match, Alex? Was that a case of, opening day rust or something like that?
Well, first of all, I think she played really well. She's also like a really good friend of mine. But definitely it wasn't my best day. I think there were a lot of lessons I learned from that match. And I've already talked about it with my coach and with my team. So I think it's just a learning experience. I try not to take it so heavily. So with that attitude, I'm going to try to do better in my next tournament.
Again, you can't get too high, you can't get too low in these things, obviously, and because you continue to move on. And your dad told me, because I was up with him, we were like texting when you were playing, and I was asking him particularly about your serve. I mean, I said, is Alex feeling anything? Because I felt like your serve was, particularly the second serve, it's as if you were babying that serve. Were you actually concerned because your dad just said, no, it's just work in progress? Is that the case there, Alex?
Well, I have been working on my serve a lot, and I think it's just it is a work in progress. What he said is correct. It's not going to be every day where I'm serving bombs, and I think 3 hours after a 3-hour match, it's hard to maintain 200 miles per hour. I think especially that's what I'm working on. Consistency and many different things, and of course, if you guys see it in the in TV, we've already discussed and we've already planned how to approach the problem.
All right. Well, you've had terrific success in doubles. Are you looking to concentrate on your doubles career a little more than your singles?
No, I think I'm still concentrating more on my singles. I think that's my main focus right now. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
And and that goes both in the girls division, in the juniors division, as well as in the women's division. Ganun ba yan, Alex?
Yes, that goes for both.
Okay. All right. You won on our Independence Day, and that the particular statement or message or speech you gave after you won, particularly in Filipino, really endeared you so much to the Filipinos who were watching. How special was it to win on our Independence Day and with your parents in attendance?
It was a really special day for me. I think to be able to win on Independence Day and for my parents to be there, it's like I'm sharing the win. It's not just my win. It's a win for my family. It's a win for my country. And I think that's what made the day really memorable for me.
Has it sunk in how big you've become for many Filipinos? How many Pinoys are now obviously betting on you and hoping that you will really become the next champion that every Filipino can be proud of. Of course, you are already a champion, but has that sunk in, that sort of national consciousness and responsibility to our country?
Actually, not really. It's hard to believe how much influence I have right now. I'm still pretty young, but I do understand that a lot of younger kids look up to me, and I do understand that I am someone that has the power to inspire other people, and I'm really proud of that, and I try to make the most out of what I can and do my best every time.
And obviously that power comes not only on the court, but of course also off the court, and that's going to be something that I guess you'll continue to live with now that you are, you have made a real name for yourself in the international scene. And talking about, the Philippines, you've been away. I know you come back as often as you can, but do you still miss a lot of things in Manila?
Yes, of course I miss a lot. My whole family is in Manila. I think,
and the food that you
the food and everything and the atmosphere also. I think
although it seems like you're enjoying now your career, your I guess your stay in Mallorca. Your IG stories have been incredible. Your IG posts have been incredible. How do you compare? Now that you're over a year since you went to the Rafa Nadal Academy, how has life been compared to when you started?
I think a lot has changed since I moved here. I've been here around 3 years already, and I think those 3 years were a big part of me growing up as not just as a player, but also like as a teenager, as a player, like as a person. Sorry, and I think there are many things I can take away from being here at the academy, and I think also my parents try to tell me all the time that the most important thing is to enjoy and to be happy. So that's what I'm trying to do.
And it shows. It shows, and it's really good. It's good. I've been talking. I just spoke with EJ Obiena, who's talked openly about mental health issues, being alone and competing alone. And I've discussed this in the show, how many of the athletes have suffered from that. And I guess it's really just a matter of keeping a well-balanced life outside of your competitive life. Yeah, just to keep it together.
Yeah, I think that's so like a really important thing to pay attention to. Yeah.
Moving forward, Alex, of course, unfortunately, you did not advance in your latest tournament. But are you playing in Wimbledon? I think a lot of people are wondering because that's the next Grand Slam, and everyone's excited again to watch. Are you playing in Wimbledon, and are you going to be playing in the women's, or are you sticking with the juniors?
I will be playing Wimbledon juniors for girls.
Wimbledon
yes.
junior.
Wimbledon
All right.
juniors, yes.
For both singles and doubles.
Singles and doubles, yes.
Have you selected a partner for the women's for the girls doubles?
Yes, I have already.
Is that something that you can divulge?
Yeah. I think it's confirmed, but I don't know if I can say. I think we should just wait for the draw.
All right.
Okay. What can happen?
Okay, so you will be playing in Wimbledon. All of your visa problems are done. You have.
I think they
you have
should be
your
sorted
visas.
out. Yes, they are. I have visa. And everything is planned out already.
Alex, how are you preparing for Wimbledon? How are you? You know that it's another kind of surface. It will be grass this time. Are you doing anything in particular just before you play Wimbledon?
Well, I'm really excited.
Yan po mga kaibigan ang ating panayam kay Alex Eala, ang ating Grand Slam champion sa juniors division ng tennis, and kinonfirm po niya sa atin na siya po ay lalaro sa Wimbledon ngayong darating na Hulyo. Si Alex Eala mga kaibigan ang ating pambato sa Wimbledon. She will play in the junior singles and doubles. So abangan po natin ang laban ng ating teen tennis sensation. Alright, bago po tayo magtapos, gusto ko lang mabilis lang na banggitin ang ibang nagpadala doon po sa ating pinupulsuhan ngayon. Ano ba ho ang inyong impression kay Kai Sotto sa kanyang performance sa FIBA Asia Cup Qualifier? Sabi ni Nosire, medyo mahaba pangalan nito, training lang, training, gagaling din yan. Saka chiropractor para dumiretso ang likod. Sabi ni MGL VNGC, decent, a lot of upside. He's still too young. Pag nag-bulk up pa yan, sasabay na doon, gumanda ang laro niya. Hopefully, his Australian stint will surely help him a lot. Marami pa po nagsabi. Sabi ni Philip Saudi Ali, tuloy-tuloy lang ang practice ng hook, palakasin ang katawan, and the future is bright. Mula naman sa ating mga Facebook, sabi po ni Tito Gumawit, Kai Sotto, parang sinaing na sobra sa tubig, malata. Mas masarap naman yung ganong klaseng kanin. Sigurado pagka medyo tumagal yun, titigas din yun, ha? Wag nating husgahan kaagad. Mula kay William Bonaobra, para sa akin, di pa kumpleto ang galawan niya sa loob. Medyo malambot pa. Kailangan mahasa mabuti siya sa loob dahil yan naman talaga inaasahan sa kanya. Kumbaga, hindi pa hinog. Marami pa pong nagbigay ng kanilang komentaryo kay Kai Sotto at patuloy po nating abangan ang kanyang paglalaro. Of course, bukas po, bukas ang laban ng Gilas Pilipinas laban sa Korea. E di paano? Tapos na naman po ang isang Sabado sa Power and Play. At kami po ay nagpapasalamat sa inyong lahat na sumubaybay sa atin. And of course, sa lahat po ng ating mga naging panauhin. Kagaya po ng lagi nating sinasabi dito po sa Power and Play, pag Sabado, bawal ang masungit. At sa lahat po ng ating gawain, ad maiorem Dei gloriam, all for the greater glory of God. Ito po ang Power and Play at kami po ang 1PH, teleservisyo para sa Pilipino. Happy Sports Weekend mga kapatid at Happy Father's Day sa inyong lahat.
Welcome to the Gigalife. Your passions, your stories, your life, simplified with just one app. This is the future. The Gigalife in just one tap. Experience Giga moments when you make the smart choice. With the Philippines' fastest mobile data network. How do I know it's T1? Simple, smart ako.